Hello, fellow truth seekers. This is Barbara Jean. You have to excuse me. My sinuses are just crazy, so I might have to wipe my nose from time to time. I have to keep my voice down a bit because it's still pretty early in the morning. Not as early as it usually is. It's 4:30 right now. Just some things on my mind. Just a regular cup of tea. It's got a chip. Almost all my cups have a chip in them. I don't understand that. But anyway, just regular tea. The milk is just on the verge of going bad, though. But anyway, still drinkable. You can always taste it. That's got that little hint of something you don't want to drink. But, like I said, still drinkable. But anyway. um, I've had some dreams and some words, and I wanted to get them out. Um, um, I've had a lot of dreams lately, actually, a lot of dreams, but most of the time when I wake up, they're really strong dreams or really strong images, but they just fade away really, really fast. So I don't remember them. I know I had a dream and that there was a very strong image, and then for some reason it doesn't stick around. And then I have some dreams, and I have other dreams that don't make any sense to me, so I don't put them up. I had one this morning that had it kept changing and morphing into different things. Um, a lot of images I don't understand. But it must be all good because I had a good word. As soon as I woke up, I had a word that came to me. Um, so I'm going to tell you that. But first, let me go back a week. Almost a week ago, I had a dream. It was a good dream. I was in a church that I grew up when I was a little girl. My parents used to take us to a church that taught Bible they were strong Bible believing people. They didn't um, they didn't have uh, musical instruments in this church. But in this church, so anyway, my sisters and I, two of my sisters, my sister that represents the Church of Ephesus in my dreams, and one that represents the Church of Pergamos in my dreams, my twin sister, and my eldest sister, we walked into this old church that we used to attend, and when we were kids, and it had, in reality, this church has a very high sloped ceiling in the auditorium, main auditorium, and it had lots of wood beams. That's what I remember. And in the front, in the baptistry, there was a baptistry in the front, and it had a very tall blue wall. Anyway, we walked through the auditorium through the side door. There was a back door to this auditorium that actually is the front. It's hard to explain. You know how you walk through the front entrance, and then the back of the auditorium would be the um, let me see if I can describe it better. Hold on just a second. Yeah, sorry about that. I just trying to describe it. I'm not that very verbal, so it's going to be hard for me to say. Okay, so here this is the layout of the church. You're looking down at it. Here's in the front. There's a baptistry in the front, and there's a big tall wall. Um, Off to the one side, there's an entrance. This is backwards, by the way, so it's not exact. If you flip it around, there's a long hallway, a side entrance that led to the inside of the auditorium. There was a back entrance that led to the back inside of the auditorium, and this is the front door to the church. Okay, that's not the whole church, but that's basically the layout of part of the church that was in the dream. So we came walking in, my sisters and I, walking into the side entrance to the church, and we were admiring, looking at the church as we came walking in here, and we were walking up to the front to look towards the pews of this church. And we were saying, oh, how much it seemed the same. It all seemed very much the same. But we noticed that there was a piano in the auditorium, which would never have happened in this church that we grew up in because they didn't believe in instruments. they sang songs, but it was all without instruments, so it was a cappella. Um, so we were all admiring it and all remember the childhood memories. Remember we used to do this. Remember we used to do that, and it was a nice place to worship. It was good people and good teaching. Um, yeah, but anyway, so we were admiring it, and the place was starting to fill up with people. Um, and we sat down facing the pews. We were sitting down in a pew, but facing the people who were coming in to worship. And a lady came to the piano and she started playing the piano, and we're saying, "This is definitely like the church that we grew up in. It's really strange." So anyway, we kind of felt kind of funny sitting at the front facing everybody. So we got up and we moved to the pews. My two sisters went to the left hand side of the church and sat in a pew together, and I sat on the right hand side of the church in a pew next to somebody. I don't know who it was. And they started the worship service, and they were singing um, a hymn, and I was getting very frustrated in the dream because I couldn't find the song in the songbook. They were singing a song. I wanted to join the worship service, but I couldn't join the service because I couldn't find the song and I didn't know the song. And I was flipping through this hymnal trying to find the right song. And I was very, very frustrated by the situation. I'm thinking, this is not right. Something's wrong here. I mean, I can't even find the song in the songbook. And then I was trying to peer at how in the front of the church that you have a plaque that usually says, it has the names, the numbers of each song that was going to be sung next. And I was peering, I couldn't make it out. My eyes were blurry, or for some reason, no, it didn't matter how close or far I got to the plaque or try to see, I couldn't read the numbers. What that means, I don't know. But anyway, I was getting very frustrated, and plus, the service seemed very, very dry. It was not the same as when we grew up. The um, it seemed to me just to be a social club. That's what came to my mind, a social club. So I was getting frustrated and I wanted to leave. And I turned to see if my sisters wanted to leave. And they both had already left. And I didn't notice that they had left. They had actually left through the side door um, without my noticing. I guess they felt the same way, that something was really wrong here and it was not a good thing. It wasn't a good thing. It was a good, there was something, the spirit was wrong, okay, in the church. So I decided to get up and leave, but I decided not to go through the side door. I decided to go through the back door or the front door, depending on how you look at it. So I left through the back door, and I was standing in the or the hallway, the front entrance hall right here, and in the church. And strangely enough, all of a sudden I started singing a song I knew. And as they were singing it, all of a sudden I started to rise up. I began to float. It's happened a few times in my dreams where all of a sudden the glory of God will start to happen, and I start to rise up. And they were singing a song, and all of a sudden I recognized the tune, and I started to float. I started to feel the glory of God, and I rose up. Now I'm going to tell you what the song was, because that was basically the end of the dream. The song was "When Johnny Comes Marching Home Again." Isn't that interesting? The song was "When Johnny Comes Marching Home Again." I've got the lyrics here. I'm gonna read them for you. Excuse me. When Johnny Comes Marching Home was written by an Irish American band leader, Patrick Gilmore, during the American Civil War. Its first sheet music publication was deposited in the Library of Congress on September 26, 1863, with words and music credited to Louis Lambert. Um, Anyway, it was not really clear as to where the origins of the tune came from, and there was all this controversy as to where the tune came from. But Gilmore later acknowledged that the music was not original, but was, as he put it in 1883 article, Music Herald, a musical wave which I happened to hear someone humming in the early days of the rebellion, and taking a fancy to it, wrote it down, dressed it up, gave it a name, and rhymed it into a useful for special purposes suited to the time. Okay. Basically, they said that actually they thought he heard it from a Negro person or black person. Back then it was Negro. But anyway, let me just tell you, read the words to you. It was popular, by the way, in the United States and also in Britain. Let me just read the words. The lyrics were written by Gilmore. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies, they will all turn out, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. Of course, gay in the old-fashioned sense, not the modern terms. So happy, we'll all feel happy and joyful. The old church bell will peal with joy, hurrah, hurrah, to welcome home our darling boy, hurrah, hurrah. It's interesting about Johnny, Johnny. The village lads and lassies say, with roses they will strew the way. We'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. Get ready for the jubilee, hurrah, hurrah. We'll give the hero 3 times 3, hurrah, hurrah. The laurel wreath is ready now to place upon his loyal brow, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. Let love and friendship on that day, hurrah, hurrah, their choicest pleasures then display, hurrah, hurrah, and let each one perform some part to fill the joy the warrior's heart, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. So that was the song that I heard that was causing me to rise up in this church. So that was a rather interesting word, so I thought I'd put that out. And I had that dream a few days ago. I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was last Wednesday. But I've been putting off making a video because I always have to work my way up to making a video unless it's a really, really strong dream. But anyway, that's what I saw. So there's that. That's an encouraging word. Also, yesterday morning, I was having a whole bunch of series of dreams. But when I woke up, I didn't remember anything that was particularly stood out to me. Except when I woke up, as soon as I woke up, I heard the words, Marriage of the Lamb. That's what I heard, Marriage of the Lamb. Okay, let me just take a look at the Marriage of the Lamb here, actually. I didn't even cue it up. Marriage of the Lamb. See, the wedding of the Lamb, the Marriage of the Lamb. Marriage, let's see if it's actually in here. Oh, it's in Revelation, of course. There's two references. Revelation 19:7. The marriage supper of the Lamb. This is not the marriage supper, it was the marriage of the Lamb. Revelation 19:6. And I heard, as it were, the voice of the great multitude, and the voice of many waters, and the voice of the mighty thundering, saying, Alleluia. For the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. Oh. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. And he saith unto me, Right blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not, for I am a fellow servant. So this is John, and he had fallen at the feet of the servant of the angel who was showing him these things. And of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus, worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And then you see the white rider on the white horse coming. Of course, that's Jesus Christ is the rider on the white horse. So that is where that reference is the marriage of the Lamb. That's what I heard, the marriage of the Lamb. So specifically, let's just read that verse one more time. Um, verse 7. There was rejoicing in heaven, and the 24 elders fall down at his feet. And verse um, 6. And as I heard, there was a great voice of great multitude, and the voice of many waters, and the voice of mighty thunderings, saying, Alleluia, for Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him honor. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. Okay, so that's what I heard yesterday morning. Marriage of the Lamb. As soon as I woke up. Again, I had actually another encouraging word this morning after a series of dreams that don't really make a great deal of sense to me. Um, I was losing things in this dream. I lost my dog. I couldn't find my dog. Couldn't find my car. Couldn't find. I, in the one part of the dream, I was in a train that led us to, and it was with a small group of people. We got off this train, and it's very strange circumstances with a banana. I don't understand that, but anyway, there was a banana in the dream. Weird images. And then we were trudging in the snow towards a motel. Had booked a room in a motel, and there was all these beds in this motel room. And anyway, one very strange part of the dream was this woman was a friend of my sister who was also in the dream, but she wasn't there. I just knew she was there somewhere. But somehow she had gone off swimming. She had gone off, taken her bathing suit and gone off to the indoor pool. It better be an indoor pool because I would not have gone swimming in an outdoor pool in the freezing cold. However, um, so in this dream, I was looking for my bathing suit. Couldn't find my bathing suit. For some reason, I kept losing things throughout the night. I was losing things in my dreams. Well, that means I have no idea. And so anyway, in this dream, we were in this motel room, and there were all these beds. And my sister's friend, her name is Gail, was taking inventory of the items in the room. And she brought up the number 40. She said the number 40. I think she said it 3 times, the number 40. She's got to write down a list of 40 things. And it's got 40 days or 40 something. She said 40 3 times in the dream. And then she brings me out a nightstand that she thought I could use while we were staying in this motel room. Because there were all these beds and like I said, it was very all these strange images. But one of the images that came out that was really really strong was this nightstand. As she was making an inventory, she brings out this nightstand, and it's that um uh, you know the Barbies by Mattel, the Barbie dolls. They have a particular color pink. There's the color pink again. Interestingly enough, she brings out this nightstand that is a very strange shape. It was I can't describe it to you. It was a very odd. It had this table on top, and then it had the legs and the connecting part to the tabletop to the legs was very odd. It was colored pink, like Mattel's Barbie colored pink, and that's what came to my mind, the Barbie doll. And it had a symbol of the Eiffel Tower on it in black. So there was black accents, this pink nightstand with black accents, and it had a black um, decorative piece of the Eiffel Tower on it. And she says to me, "Didn't you have one like this when you were a child?" And I said, "Yeah, I had one just like that when I was a kid." Well, of course I didn't. But in the dream, I said, "Yes, I did. I had one of these like this when I was a kid." What it means, I have no idea. But for some reason, the image of it stood strong in my head. And then one of the other dreams, but I mean, part of the same dream, I was still in the hotel room and I was looking for my bathing suit. I couldn't find my bathing suit. I was very frustrated because I couldn't find my bathing suit because I wanted to go swimming with my sister in some like a pool that's motel had. Okay. So anyway, that was the end of the dream. Does it mean anything? I don't know. But what happened was next, it must have done something, or these dreams must be leading to something, whether I understand them or not. Because the next thing you know, when I woke up, because I woke up immediately after this dream, and as soon as I woke up, I heard another song in my head. So, although I may not understand the dreams, um, they obviously are leading somewhere, or they have some kind of subconscious meaning that I may not understand, but they're leading me to the next level. Um, but anyway, when I woke up, I heard this song in my head, and the song I heard was for beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above thy fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Now, that's really odd that I would remember that song. Of course, it's an American anthem. Okay. um, my memory is terrible. I have a terrible memory for songs. I'm a singer, but I have a terrible memory. I always have to use sheet music. But for some reason, that song has always stuck in my head. Why? I don't know. That was just one of these strange anomalies. That song stuck in my head. It's always stuck in my head. And it comes from one of my favorite movies called Pollyanna. I love that movie, Pollyanna, about a young girl who has a big heart, who um, who sheds um, joy and gladness to her neighbors who are suffering with very bad attitudes. Um, she plays what her father, who was a missionary in I don't know where exactly in the original story she was from, British Guiana, or anyway, her father was a missionary, and her family, her mother's family, looked down on her father because he was poor and they were rich. So she goes to live with her rich relatives after her parents die, and she brings the glad game. Basically, her father teaches her the glad game, and she's teaching these people to see the brighter side of things in life. Okay, and that song, she sings that song in the movie Pollyanna by Disney, with Haley Mills. Haley Mills. Oh, she was so cute. Seriously, she was so adorable. Um, and she sings that song. So anyway, that's what came to my mind this morning. And what's interesting about the end of the song, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. And that is also in the book of Revelation. And of course, it's in one of my favorite passages in the book of Revelation, the Church of Philadelphia. And to the angel of Church of Philadelphia write these things, saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. So this, of course, is the Church of Philadelphia. Bring means brotherhood, brotherly love. And verse 11 of chapter 3, behold, I come quickly, hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. So, I think that's a very encouraging word too. So, the dreams, I may not understand them, but they are leading to, when I'm waking up, I'm hearing some pretty good things. I mean, when Johnny comes marching home again, which is an encouraging word because I started to rise up in this church. Then the word marriage of the Lamb. It's an encouraging word. And then when uh, America the Beautiful, it was not America the Beautiful. What is America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Very, very encouraging words. Okay, so um, then one other thing I wanted to bring up in this video, is I was thinking about my other dream that I had that I mentioned about the computer and my and what interestingly enough also refers to the Church of Philadelphia, is the dream I had about the four white stones. Okay, I still don't understand the meaning of the four white stones, but in the dream I was talking to my nephew David. Of course, it's a reference to the book of Revelation, the Church of Philadelphia, and Revelation chapter 3:7. And unto the angel of the church of Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth, and no man shutteth, and shutteth, and no man openeth. So, of course, in this dream, when I was talking about the four white stones, I was talking to my nephew David, who in the dream was sitting in some kind of mobile unit, and he was he was calculating numbers. Okay, he was calculating numbers, and then I asked him about the meaning of four white stones. He turns to this computer. This is the part I want to get to. He turns to a computer that didn't make it was like a laptop, like I'm sitting in front of right now. It had a monitor, it had a keyboard, and what keeps coming back to my mind is this very strange. Let's see if I can draw it for you. Hold on. And a very strange monitor underneath the monitor. Okay, very crude. Sorry, very very crude. So just pretend this is a laptop. You got your keyboard down here. You have your regular monitor here. Then there was another monitor underneath it. Very crude. Sorry, my drawing's very shaky. Um, and when he waved his hand across it like this, the second monitor here, and it was kind of a green screen, and he waved his hand across it, and when he did it, these numbers and symbols all came up. Um, kind of a code, kind of an interesting kind of code. So anyway, that keeps coming to my mind. I can't seem to get it out of my head. And of course, it keeps reminding me of this verse about how he that hath the key of David. Um, we know, I know in my heart, I mean, I think we all know in our hearts that Donald Trump is somehow aligned to or from the lineage of David. Somewhere in his lineage, there has to be the lineage of David. I'm serious. That's just what keeps coming to my mind. That he is, there's a he's from the line of Judah. He must be. There is no doubt about it. Um, in my heart. Now, I can't prove it because I don't know, but that's what keeps coming in my head. But this also has to do with the computer. What was coming to my mind, and interestingly enough, there's a show that came on, uh, was on in the 70s. It was, I think, the late 70s, early 80s. It had to be the early 80s because the hairstyles were, yeah, from that period. So late 70s, early 80s. And it's come on TV again, and I hadn't seen it in years and years. Used to love that program. It was called Quantum Leap. I don't know if you remember. Those who are older probably do. It was a really popular um, weekly um, episode show. It was kind of a comedy, half serious, half comedy um, type of mystery show episode, weekly episode, where this guy named Sam, interestingly enough, his name is Sam, which means God hears. He somehow gets sucked into this vortex where he jumps from um, time time to frame to time frame during the 20th century, and he alters history by jumping into his spirit jumping into um, another person's life, and he has to fix something in somebody's life, otherwise they're going to go bad, or something really bad's going to happen in the future. Okay, so he takes what's called a quantum leap, which is what the name of the show was, Quantum Leap. And in the show, there's this man, I can't remember his name right now. He's kind of his sidekick. He's the comic relief in the show. And he has this computer he calls Ziggy, and he's constantly punching in the numbers to Ziggy, and he's, bing, 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 and makes a funny little sound. And he can see the actions of Sam when Sam's had jumped into somebody else's body, and he's now trying to fix something that this person is going to make a vital mistake, a terrible mistake in their life, and he has to change the outcome of that person's life, because if he doesn't, then something really bad is going to happen in the future. So he has a sidekick with this computer named Ziggy, and it's quantum computing. And at the time, of course, it didn't make any sense to me because I don't think anybody knew what quantum computing was, or hardly anybody did. And it didn't make any sense, and it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me personally because I don't really know much about it still. But nonetheless, this is what came to my mind, and as I'm watching this show that I hadn't seen in years and years, it's on television again on one of the channels where I live, and I'm thinking, I used to love that show. I used to love it so much. It was so good. And plus, I had this guy named Scott Bakula. He was the lead character, and he's so cute. I'm serious. One of the cutest guys I ever saw. Anyway, Scott Bakula plays the lead character, Sam, who jumps from place to place. So that made it easier to watch, too. Um, but anyway, that's what keeps coming into my head when I think of this computer that I saw in my dream. What keeps coming to my mind is this show, and also the this, like I said, I keep seeing this image of my nephew David on this computer, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, maybe that makes some sense. Maybe this is what the Lord is showing me, that the key of David has something to do with quantum computing. Isn't that interesting? That he's going to open doors, and he's going to open doors, he's going to shut doors through this quantum computing, or maybe it's already being used. Maybe there is a quantum computer that we don't know about, or that we do know about, that's going to be used in the Church of Philadelphia, that's going to set us free, that's going to be part of the scenario. It would be very interesting to find out. I think we're already starting to see that, because they're saying that the ballots that were watermarked or something, it had something to do with quantum computing. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's a rather interesting little scenario that's being played out. Um, God knows. I think that the war has already been won, although it's hard for us because we don't see the end game. God, of course, is in control of everything, and it's very hard for us because we humans want to know the outcome right now, and God is working it out, or God has already worked it out, and we have to sometimes be patient and wait and trust the Lord through the process. And it's very, very hard for us, and it's hard on me. It's hard for all. I can't watch anything to do with the news. I just can't. It's like I've had to turn it all off because I cannot listen to their lies and deceptions, these false prophets, these procrastinators of evil and doom. I can't deal with it. I just can't, because I know that if Joe Biden gets into office, we are all doomed. I mean, as people, as the earth, we're doomed. There is no hope. And Donald Trump is definitely part of the. I just can't imagine a God who is loving and good, and we've been praying so earnestly for years for the um, our deliverance would allow us to be. It doesn't make any sense to me. Let's just put it that way. To think that Joe would get into power when he is such a crook and such a criminal and so horrible, and our eyes have been opened. But this is the year of 2020 vision, and I have, like I said, we've, excuse me, the Lord has given me some very encouraging words in the last few days. And so I'm just going to cling to that, and I encourage you to do the same. Okay? God has a plan. He's working it out, and He promises us in this particular passage that, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Now, the term Jews here doesn't necessarily mean Jewish. I mean, it does, but it does also refers to people who call themselves Christians. Because Christianity, if you think about it, is a form of Judaism. It's not the form of the formal Judaism, it's a form of Christ's Judaism. Christ was a Jew. Christ was teaching the people a form of his Judaism, which is the true Judaism, if you think about it. To be a true Jew is to love the Lord with all your heart. Okay? So we Christians, we may be Gentile, but we're also practicing a form of Judaism, which is actually what Jonah taught the people of Nineveh after he repented of his very bad attitude about the Ninevites who repented of their sins, and they were Gentiles. He went after he repented. Apparently, he went back to Nineveh and taught them a form of Judaism, not the formal form of Judaism that he practiced in Israel, but an informal form of Judaism, which they still practice apparently today. Okay, and so we Christians are not. We're Jews in heart. Let me see if I can find that passage. Hold on, just a second. Okay, so this is in the book of Romans, and it's talking about how we Gentiles have been grafted into Israel. We're not considered Jews because we're not Jewish, but we're actually grafted into Israel. So we're part of Israel. So we're spiritual Jews. Oh, I can't find that particular passage, but this is the branch. This is the passage where it talks about we are grafted into Israel, the wild branch that's been grafted in. Romans 11. This is the remnant of Israel. Romans 11:11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation has come unto the Gentiles to provoke them to jealousy. So it's talking about the natural branch, the Jewish people from natural heritage, um, have not fallen from salvation for permanent falling or to fall. Um, God forbid, their fall salvation has come unto the Gentiles. So they've fallen for a time. They've been rejected for a time in order to bring in this wild branch, which are the Gentiles, grafted into Israel, to provoke what? The natural branch to jealousy. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? So God is going to bring them back into the fold once they have been provoked enough to jealousy enough to realize that they have missed the mark and that they need to come back to the fullness. In other words, they need to come back to God and accept his full plan, which of course is Jesus Christ. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. So this is Paul speaking to the Romans in the Gentiles. If by any means I may provoke to emulate them which are my flesh, I might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be reconciliation of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, wert grafted in among them, and with them partake of the root of the fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branch. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say, then the branches are broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standeth by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. So he's telling us not to be arrogant against the natural Jewish people. Although they may be broken off for a time, it's not going to be forever, because it talks about the mystery of Israel being redeemed, and that has to do with 144,000. So God is going to deal with Israel and bring them back into the fold. Once he deals with the Gentiles, once we've come to our fullness, he's going to go back and he's going to deal with Israel. Okay, so that's part of his plan, is to deal with Israel, and it has to do with the 144,000 who are Jewish believers, and that's in the book of Revelation as well. But in the Church of Philadelphia, um, it says those who say they are Jews but are not. So those people who say that they're faithful, those people who say they are believers, so that could be Gentile people too, or people who call themselves Christians. So those people who call themselves Christians and those people who call themselves Jewish, but they're not. They are actually believers and followers of Satan. Okay, and they do his bidding. Um, but anyway, he's going to make them come and bow at our feet. That's what he says here. Behold, I will make them come and worship. Come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So, Interestingly enough, and like I said in my here's my chart again. It's about feet. What? There's my symbol of the rainbow. The woman who's the bride. It's a fullness. It's completeness. It's seven steps. 7 steps to heaven, stairway to heaven. But there's a foot there, and there's a foot there, and there's 2 feet there, and there's another feet there. Is it a coincidence? The Lord gave me this chart years ago, and I didn't wouldn't I had no idea that I was going to be looking at it and using it over and over and over again. But it's about feet. Feet. Yep, it's about feet. Talking about feet. I didn't think this was going to be such a long video. Um, my feet are seeing improvement. They're swelling up every now and then, but I'm seeing a lot of improvement in my feet. When this all started and I started really having a lot of physical problems, my feet swelled up. They turned purple. Uh, and I thought I was going to lose my feet because seriously, there was hardly any circulation in them. But I've seen a lot of improvement in the last couple of years, but in the last year particularly. The color of my feet are almost normal. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? Good news. So my feet are almost normal. There's still some numbness in some of my toes, but basically my feet are, there's a lot more circulation in my feet. The color is almost normal in my feet. Um, Circulation is really good, so I'm really, really thankful. So the Lord is healing my feet, okay? And if you recall, those who've been with me a long, long time, uh, but those people who have not probably wouldn't know this, but one of the first things the Lord did when He gave me this mission 10 years ago before I came on YouTube, this was 2010, when all this started, this prophetic stuff started happening to me, and He, uh, I guess, chose me for this mission, for this particular prophetic ministry. One of the first things He did was work on my feet. I mean, I would come home from work. I would work on my feet all day. I was working as a traveling maid. Go from house to house with a partner, and we'd clean houses, mostly of elderly people. But nonetheless, it was a hard job, but I didn't mind it actually. I enjoyed it. Strangely enough, I hate cleaning, but for some reason I didn't mind this job. But anyway, I'd come home and I would be tired. And then as soon as I walk in the door, the Spirit of the Lord would be there, and He'd have me work on my feet. He'd have me rock back and forth for hours on my feet, rock back and forth on my feet. And it was agonizing. It was absolutely agonizing. And what came to my mind, I was thinking about this week. I was thinking about how, as this would go on, I mean, I felt like He was holding me by the shoulders, and He was rocking, and I had no choice, but I'd stand and I'd rock back and forth on my feet, from my toe to my heel, from my heel to my toe, and this went on. And I would complain about the whole time I'd be complaining and complaining. Um, this went on from, say, September to early December, okay? So I'd come home from work and I'd be tired, and then I'd be rocking back and forth on my heels. And this went on nightly, usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours every night, as the Lord was working on my feet. And I didn't know why this was happening, but what was happening was He was aggravating practically everything in my feet. All the nerves in my feet were being aggravated. Okay? We'll make Him come and worship at your feet. Because remember with Moses, He told him to take off his shoes because he was walking on holy ground. Why did He do that? Because He was healing Moses through his feet. Because all your nerve endings end in your feet, just like they do in your hands. And on the top of your head. Your nerves run through your spine, but it goes to the top of your head to your feet. And the Lord is working, when I tell you about this brain surgery, the nerve endings at the top of my head is affecting my hands and my feet. Because your nerves in your body like I said, the nerve endings in the top of your head, nerve endings all correspond to your hands and also to your feet. And remember the passage where Jesus was washing the disciples' feet. And Peter said, well, wash out all of me. And Jesus said, all I need to do is wash your feet. Okay? Let's work on your feet. And in the Church of Philadelphia, and if you think about the connection between Peter and the Church of Philadelphia, Jesus asked him about, do you agape me? And Peter says, I phileo you, Lord. So Peter represents the church of Philadelphia in its strongest sense. It's a very strong connection. And so Jesus said, I will wash your feet. Okay. And here he says, I will make them worship at your feet. Okay. So in this, like I said, the Lord had me rocking back and forth about an hour and a half to 2 hours every night on my feet. And I remember when it came to an end, this is a very, very funny story actually. After this went on for weeks, and it was very tiring and exhausting for me, and I would complain the whole time. Oh, when is this going to be over? I hate this. And it was so painful too. It was painful. Okay, it was painful. Even then. And I said, that I hate this. Oh, when will this be over? And I would complain the whole time. And in early December, I said to the Lord, I said, hey, I'm okay. Wait. Let me go back. I'm not sure if it went all the way from September to December. I don't know if it was exactly that long, the period. I could be wrong. It could have been a period of like a month and a half. It could have been November. Anyway, it's beside the point. It went on long enough. And I complained and complained and complained and complained and complained. Finally, one day, as this was going on, I said to the Lord, I said, okay, wait, before we start, I kept making compromises with the Lord. I said, wait, before we start, I said, how about we make a deal? I said, how about if I do this for an hour and I don't complain even once, not one single solitary complaint comes out of my mouth. That makes me giggle thinking about it. I said, if I don't complain even just once about this, how about we can finish early, and then that would be really good. How about that? If I don't even say one nasty thing about this whole situation I'm in and don't complain about it, then we can finish early. Well, the Lord must have agreed to it. I think he actually, from what I sense, I think he was actually smiling and kind of a funny grin. I couldn't see him. I still can't see him, but I could feel him very, very, very strongly. He's like being in the presence of a magnet. That's the way I describe being in the presence of the Lord. It's like he's like a magnet, a very heavy duty magnet. He's a magnetic personality. He's got a magnetic presence, and when you're in his presence, that's you feel drawn to him. He's very magnetic, and the Bible says magnify your name. So there is that reference there too. I never understood magnify your name, but that's what it means to make it bigger, stronger, um, draw people towards you because you're a magnetic personality. And it's like being in the presence of a magnet. That's how I describe it. Anyway, when I first started uh, experiencing this magnetic personality, it was very, very. Uh, I would be waking up. I would be dizzy. In fact, I experienced vertigo for about from September to December, through the end of December, I was experiencing strong vertigo during this period of time because I was getting used to it, and I was like dizzy, absolutely dizzying. I was like, I understand why people would fall in the presence of angels and the presence of God. You'd have to, because it causes your head to spin. Okay. Interestingly enough, the Lord, I guess, either pulled back or something, but I was able to stand even though I was experiencing this dizziness, and then I was also rocking back and forth on my feet. Um, but anyway, so in this one time, I said, okay, so I'm going to make a deal with you. You know, I don't complain one time, not one single solitary time will I complain for an hour, and then we can finish early, okay? And he actually agreed. And like I said, I could sense his sense of humor, that he was actually kind of um, giggling a little bit about it. If giggle is the word. Chuckling. There was a sense of humor I felt from him. So we did. And I said, wait, just a second before we start. I said, but you can't count what I'm thinking. I said, you can't hold that against me if I'm thinking something that I shouldn't think. Um, don't hold that against me because I can't help that. So he agreed again. Again, I felt he was giggling about that or chuckling. Um, so a whole hour goes by, and not one single solitary word of complaint comes out of my mouth. And strangely, interestingly enough, all of a sudden, it stopped. After a whole hour, it stopped. I was stunned. I was like, whoo, it worked. Not complaining worked. I was so happy. And then this interesting and most wonderful thing about it was it never happened again. It was the last time I had to work on my feet. The Lord, that was the last time He had me rocking back and forth on my feet when I stopped complaining about it. Now, is there a lesson here for us? I think so. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can find it. Of course, it reminds me, of course, of Moses when the people were always complaining and grumbling and complaining about everything that happened and everything that every chore, every next level of tribulation they were, or they were. God is trying to set them free. God was trying to set the people free when He released them from their slavery in Egypt, and He took them into the desert, and they were constantly complaining about the fact that the Lord was leading them into the desert, and they had no this and they had no that, and complain. God got fed up with their complaining and wanted to actually stop, give up on these people because they were nothing but complainers. But Moses convinced them and said, changed God's mind and said, well, what would it, what would your reputation be, Lord, if you destroy these people whom you set free and went to all the trouble to do so, and only to destroy them in the desert? Would that really enhance your reputation? Of course, the Lord repented. He didn't really want to do that, but he needed someone to stand in the gap. So there's that story. But then there's this. I just looked up this and I thought this was a really good psalm. This is Psalms 144:1. It's a psalm of David and about trusting the Lord. I wonder if I should read the whole thing. It's not very long. It's 15 verses, so I'm going to read it my best. It's a Psalm of David. Blessed be the Lord my strength, my teacher, that which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. My goodness and my fortress, my high tower, my deliverer, my shield, and he in whom I trust, who subdueth my people under me. Lord, what is man that thou taketh knowledge of him, or son of man that thou make account of him? Man is like to vanity, his days are as a shadow that passes away. Bow thy heavens, O Lord, and come down. Touch the mountains, and they shall smoke. Cast forth lightnings, scatter them, shoot out thine arrows, and destroy them. Send thine hand from above, rid me and deliver me out of great waters, from the hand of strange children, whose mouths speak vanity, and their right hand is the hand of falsehood. I will sing a new song unto thee, O God, upon a psalmistry and an instrument of 10 strings. I will sing praises unto thee. It is he that giveth salvation unto kings, who delivereth David his servant from the hurtful sword. So there's David again. Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speak vanity, and their right hand is the hand of falsehood. That our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones polished after the similitude of a palace, that our garner may be full, affording all manners of stores, that our sheep may bring forth thousands and 10,000s in our streets, that our oxen may be strong to labor, that there be no breaking in nor going out, that there be no complaining in our streets. Happy is that people that is in such a case, yea, happy is that people whose God is the Lord. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. Anyway, that's all I think I'm going to say on this video. Isn't that lovely? I think I'll end with that because I think that's just gorgeous. Um, so that's what came to my mind as I was thinking about my feet. It's going to come and make them worship at our feet. When our feet are made pure and holy because we've been set free from all the lies and deceptions and are complaining, are complaining unto the Lord about His process of setting us free. He is exposing all the wickedness of the darkness. He's shaking their trees so all the leaves fall off, and there's nothing for them to hide behind, nothing for us to hide behind. This process has exposed our weaknesses That's what the whole shaking is about. It's not just about exposing the darkness of the weak, wicked people. This is about exposing our complaining, exposing our weakness of the soul that has um, not allowed us to trust the Lord because of our own fearfulness, because of our own sinfulness, things that are exposing the weaknesses of our nations, weaknesses of our communities, weaknesses of our churches that we need to be repenting of. In order for the Lord to deliver us fully, we need to repent and put those things under the blood of Christ Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes the things that are seem suffering to us, and we're thinking, why, oh Lord, you're making us suffer like this? That's because He wants to set us free. He's having us go back to the past in order to avoid uh, calamity in the future. So it's a quantum leap, if you will, a quantum leap, because He's making us go back by exposing past mistakes, unrepented attitudes, unrepented um, sins of things that we shouldn't have done when we did, open doors that we should have closed when we didn't. You know what I'm saying? He's causing us to go back. The enemy is exposing all these things. He's using them all against us. He's throwing these darts at us, and we're using our shield of faith to ward them off. But at the same time, we're looking at these arrows that have these names on it, complaining, abortion, blah, 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 blah. All the things, all our sins are being exposed by these arrows that Satan's throwing at us. And it's giving us an opportunity, a chance to look at them and put them under the blood of Christ and repent of them so that the arrows can no longer be flung at us. As soon as you get them under the blood, there's nothing he can do. He has to find a new weapon. He's got to find a new arrow. He's got to find a new thing to throw at us. And as soon as we get everything under the blood of Christ, there's nothing left. And then it's what? For space, oh beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above thy fruited plains. America, America, shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Isn't that beautiful? Yes! Anyway, God bless, and if you have not given your life to Jesus Christ, there's still opportunity. And that's all I'm going to say. God bless and have a great day.